Hi everybody, welcome back to World of Tanks. In this video I'm going to be doing about the Churchill 7, which was actually a request from one of my viewers who seemed to have gone through my vehicle pool and chosen the vehicle that I hate the most and has the worst reputation. Now, this reputation actually isn't really that well deserved. I checked out on some of the forums and people either seem to love this tank and think it's one of the best things ever, or they seem to hate it, which suggests that the actual issue is whether you know how to play it or not. Now, historically, the Churchill was a bit of an odd design because it was originally designed for battles in northern France, because everybody was expecting a repeat of the trench warfare that happened in World War I. So the original design of the Churchill actually included side sponsons, and one of the major requirements was for it to be able to go over trenches and climb obstacles and things like that. Now, when Britain got kicked out of France in 1940, the Churchill was obviously redesigned, and they were in a massive rush because they had just lost a ton of equipment and they needed new stuff ready in a hurry. And the Churchill came into service the next year with massive technical problems, which slowly got fixed over the course of time. The Churchill 7 was the second major upgrade of the Churchill, which added a lot of armour. It actually ended up being one of the most heavily armoured tanks of World War II, with 152mm on the front and 95 on the side and some less on the rear. I'm basically just reading off the survivability stats, but they are actually fairly accurate. Now, in game, the Churchill is very slow. It's only got a 350 horsepower engine with a 41 ton weight, which gives it a top speed of 20 kilometers an hour. This is just above walking pace, which historically was fine because the British only wanted it to support infantry anyway. It wasn't meant to be a tank hunter in the same way as the medium tanks and the cruiser tanks were. But in the context of World of Tanks, that means everything is faster than you are, which could be a problem because a lot of the times you get left behind the line of battle, and by the time you get there everybody's dead or your team has won and moved on. But it does have some strengths. So the front armour is incredibly thick, 152mm on the front of the turret and on the front here. Side armour 90 to 95mm on both sides, and then the rear is a lot thinner, so don't let anybody get behind you. The problem is that its traverse speed is very low. Obviously this isn't at its maximum because my crew isn't 100%, but it's not exactly agile. So turning in order to angle your armour is not easy, and you will need to angle your armour because it is not sloped at all. This front plate here is really thick, but it's completely vertical. I think this plate here is quite thick as well. That bit there is quite thin. This bit is really thick, but it's also completely flat, and there's no armour just there. This bit is also pretty thick, but again, it's completely flat. So you need to angle this tank. The issue that you have then is the fact that the sides and these stupid sticky out bits at the front are so long that if I angle the tank, say there, my front armour is now completely blocked by the side armour. So most of the time people are going to be hitting your side, either from that angle or from some variation of this, except for here where they'd be stupid to aim at anything but your rear. So unless somebody's looking at you dead on, they're not going to be hitting this. So you need to be good at angling, getting your armour angled towards whoever. And the same with this. The turret generally, unless you're actually shooting, the turret wants to be pointed kind of sideways to prevent people getting dead on shots, because though your armour's thick, it's not that thick, and your plates are completely flat, so you're not going to be bouncing a huge amount. The other issue with the armour is that the top is very thin. This is about 20-25mm all on here, which means if somebody's above you shooting down into you, you're dead. And also it means that you're very vulnerable to artillery. Artillery do a lot of damage to this tank, especially because it's so slow. It's not difficult to miss a Churchill by comparison to some of the faster, more agile tanks. So from the armour we move on to the gun. Now the gun is the 77mm, that's the top gun on this tank, which I have there. And this is not actually historically accurate. The Churchill 7 did not mount the 77mm historically. The 77mm was a special development for the Comet cruiser tank and was abandoned more or less as soon as the Centurion came into service and they had a decent tank that could mount the 17-pounder. However, in game, the 77mm in a tier 6 tank is actually fairly reasonable. Some people don't like it because it's not a particularly good heavy tank gun. if you compare it to, say, something equivalent, let's look at the Soviets, Soviet heavy tanks, blah 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 blah. Let's say the KV-85, or say the T-150. So if I preview the T-150, its top gun is the 107mm, and you'll see here it's got an average damage of 300. It's got both higher average damage, and it's also got higher penetration. Now that's a proper heavy tank gun. What the Churchill has got is a down-tiered medium tank gun, which has its upsides and its downsides. So if we go back to the Churchill gun, which is here, you'll see that it's got 140 average damage, 148 penetration, which makes it worse. However, its rate of fire is huge by comparison. The T-150 was about 5 rounds per minute, and the Churchill is 14, and if you put a gun rammer on, that speeds it up even more. So the Churchill can get 3 shots off to the T-150's 1, which means its actual damage output is about the same, maybe higher. And that's the general pattern with British guns. They don't actually get a true heavy tank gun until you get up to sort of tier 8, tier 9 kind of levels. So the gun is a good gun, but you need to play it to its strengths. Repeated shots into the same target to deal significant amounts of damage. The advantage of this is that if your first shot misses, your next 2 will maybe go in, and you'll at least deal a portion of the maximum damage that the other tank could have done in one shot. If the T-150, for example, shoots me and he misses, he's just lost 300 damage, and he's not going to be able to fire for another 10 seconds or so. Whereas if I miss my first shot, I've not lost as much damage, and I've still got 2 shots left before he can fire again. So in that sense, the high rate of fire, low alpha damage guns are actually less risky than the big blast guns in that sense. So the next point, what's my next point? Oh yeah, gun 8 elevation and depression. This is not good. Elevation 12 degrees, it's not great, it's not too bad, I guess it could be worse. -4 depression is terrible. By comparison, the Comet has -12 degrees. So this thing is not a hull down tank, which is quite a big disadvantage actually. You can't sit on the backside of a ridge and shoot down a hill because it just doesn't have the gun depression. And the amount of times when I played previously and I got stuck on a small ridge, somebody took my tracks out and I couldn't shoot anybody because my gun just couldn't depress far enough to get just over this tiny little ridge, was ridiculous. So the other thing you have to do with this tank is be very careful with the ground you're driving over. Do not allow anybody to get outside of your gun depression, because you have big tracks, and if you get tracked and they're outside of your gun depression, you are screwed at that point. The amount of times I died because of that exact problem is amazing. So that pretty much is everything I want to say about the Churchill 7. If you want more detailed information and more detailed reviews, then a few guys, I think Jingles might have done one, Quickie Baby might have done one, Aging Jedi does quite a few. There's a whole bunch of other World of Tanks channels where you can get really detailed reviews where they go into Tank Inspector and look at the armour thicknesses and things like that. I'm not all that bothered, so I haven't bothered to do it. This is just a brief overview to give you an idea of how the tank plays and the best ways to use it and what the weaknesses are. So that was good. Right, now I'm going to go into a game and we're going to go and see how this thing performs. Okay, so here we are in our game. This is actually quite a nice game for the Churchill. We are top tier, tier 6, with mostly tier 5s and 4s. There's only 6 tier 6s per side. Well, actually they've got 7. We've only got 6, which is a bit unfair, but we've won anyway, so that's fine. We've got more heavies though. We have 6, they have 6 as well. Okay, I can't count, we've got equal numbers of heavies. They've got 1 more medium, we have 1 more artillery and 1 more light tank. They've got another extra tank destroyer as well. So this is on the desert map. I'm doing my best to go around this way. I don't know how to activate free camera mode on this replay actually, I probably ought to learn how to do that. So just go around the backside of this ridge just to make sure if anybody spots us over there we don't get shot at. As you can see, I'm being overtaken by everybody. M5 tries to give me a bit of a push, loses some of his HP for the trouble, and then just kind of randomly decides to aim his gun at me for some bizarre reason. ARL 44, KV2, both faster than me. It's KV1. What's he doing? Being a 12-year-old by the looks of it. I'm not quite sure what this guy thought he was playing at. He just kept on driving into me for a while. Knock some trees over because we can, and then just follow everybody else. I'm kind of a bit of a lemming train at the moment, but as you can see, not having a huge amount of speed going here. This thing is so painfully slow. ARL just got hit by somebody. I suspect that was probably artillery. Spotted a guy. Can we get the Panzer 38? No, just fired anyway, just in case. And then we head over and follow the rest of these guys. One of the enemies just killed one of the other enemies. Team killing for the loss. KV2 just fired his dirt gun, missed completely. That looked like an artillery shot as well. What's happening? He's following me. A whole bunch of guys over there. What's this guy up to? Seriously. He's just trolling. Then what happened? I think I got hit by artillery. ARL's just taking a big hit. A couple of big hits. I was trying to get on the Jackson. I got hit by the artillery. You notice the complete lack of gun depression there. Stuart got taken out. I don't know what he thought he was trying to do. He was just sitting there in the open facing a heavy tank. What was he trying to achieve? Jackson fired at that bush, I think. I stopped to try and see if I could see him, but he pulled back. Now we're just moving forward. He just got destroyed by T-34-85, so there's a T-34-85 up there somewhere. Jackson gets me for a big hit through the front, even though I'm armoured. That 90mm gun is horrendous. Got hit by the artillery again. Jackson got taken out by our OI. This is the thing. This thing, artillery just kills this thing. It's an arty magnet. Anyway, carry on the advance. We've lost some tanks. They've lost some tanks. We're behind at the moment, but we're actually doing quite well. Got hit by or attacked by artillery again. This time, now I spot the KV behind me, and I'm desperately trying to angle here. It's like angle, 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 angle. He gets hit. Aim. Get a shot off. He bounces. Haha, angled. Another shot, and we knock him out. So this is actually a pretty decent gun. And then we turn around and see if we can get the Panzer 38, which is the guy I tried to hit earlier. He gets blown up. I didn't notice at first, which is why I kept driving. And then I looked for him again, realised he was dead. I think once I got to about just over the ridge to see if I could spot him. I was like, why can't I see him? I was like, oh yeah, he's over there. Yeah, and I think this is where I've worked out that he's dead. So now I'm heading back this way to try and back up these two guys and try and get some spots off, kind of over there, down here, if you look at the map, down this kind of way. Try and avoid the cliff that we spotted at the last minute. We succeed. We're now winning, which is nice because I thought we were going to lose, and I have a kill, which is also quite nice. I like having kills. This tank is actually better than I remember it being. I remember it being absolutely horrendous. I really didn't like it. I got through it far enough to unlock the Black Prince, and then once I'd unlocked the Black Prince, I'd used all the XP to do that. I sold it and just moved on to, I think I was on the British medium line after that, because I just did not enjoy myself. I just don't get on very well with heavy tanks in general. That's why most of my replays are all tank destroyers and light tanks, mainly, and fast mediums like the Comet and the Cromwell. I like speed. I'm not a huge fan of armour, because generally, in my opinion, if you're being shot at, you're already doing something wrong. So if you can use your speed and camo and so on to not get shot at in the first place, that seems to me to be a far superior solution to having thick armour. So anyway, we're moving forwards. KVs are going there. Ah, there's the RT that was annoying me earlier. Let's see if they can probably deal with him. 2 KVs versus 1 artillery, it's hardly a competition. RT nailed him though, just until the KV unleashed his derp troll cannon and took him out. KV2 has a 152mm howitzer, which is ridiculous. And then he just got taken out by a KV2. And this is where I thought, oh, the KV2 must be over here somewhere. So I stopped, saw him, stopped, and I thought, because the reverse speed isn't much slower than the forward speed, can I get him? Because he must be visible, because he shot the guy just now. And another shot, and he's out. Aiming time is quite quick on this tank, even with a poorly trained crew. And I'm now on 2 kills. So heading around here, I'm just going to head into the cap circle now. OI's over there, he's just taking a big smack from somebody. KV2's there. Ooh, Panzer 3J, can we nail him? Missed. This is the advantage of the fast reload. He bounces, we nail him again, but not enough to get him twice. And then he disappears off. So I was hoping to get him through that gap, but didn't manage it, as you can see. and then we head back towards the cap circle, which we have now almost reached. Panzer 2J is just driven off somewhere, Panzer 3J even is just driven off somewhere. KV2 is coming to back me up. There's KV1. There he is, we miss. Gun scatter. And then the KV2 unleashes his troll cannon again and knackers the guy in one hit. I'm surprised that did that much damage actually, because the KV1 is not exactly thinly armoured. And you'll see the KV2's cannon is HE, so it tends to do reduced damage against armoured targets, as you will see in just a minute, because I get troll cannoned by this KV2. Despite my thick angled armour, like that, I just took 355 damage, which is only about a third of what the KV2 is capable of, which just shows you what armour can do. However, I've now lost 3 of my crew and my optics, so he's done loads and loads of critical damage with that one shot. So I'm being very careful now, because I'm just trying to cap, and every time I take damage, it resets the cap. This green thing at the top here. So KV2's poking out again. He shoots at me and misses. Panzer 3J is making a nuisance of himself again. I pull out to see if I can get the KV2. He pulls back. See, if I was in a Comet, I could have got that shot. Churchill's just too slow. So now I'm going to see if I can get the Panzer 3J. He's disappeared again. KV2's just been taken out by the artillery, who's now there. So I'll see if I can get him. But I'm worried because of him. But then he takes a hit, so I move further forward out. Artillery's over the dune, so I'm going to pull back in again. I'm really desperate not to take damage, and this guy is now coming out. Artillery and KV2 have just died. They're now down to this guy, and I really want to avoid getting killed by him. So I'm angling, because he's going to come from this direction. There's a Panzer 4 over there, so if he was coming from that direction I'd see him, so he's got to be coming from this direction if he comes. But he's just legging it. I think he's just trying to survive now. He takes a hit from the Panzer 4, and then I finish him. And that's the end of the game. So that is the Churchill 7. Slow, heavily armoured, with a pretty decent gun. So let's move on to the battle results. Okay, so we go to the battle results screen. That game was fairly average, to be honest. Went fairly well. Wasn't anything amazingly special. I certainly didn't break any records. However, we did get a second class mastery badge and a spotter badge, which means we've got plenty of damage from spotting, over 1,000 in fact, from causing spots. Most of that was from that Jackson that got taken out in one hit, so I did alright. Got hits, damaging hits on people we detected. This is where all of that spotting damage came from, mainly from that KV1 and from that Jackson, where we get most of it. A couple of armour bounces, yeah, you get the idea. We did actually bounce this time, which doesn't happen very often to me, since most of the tanks I drive have no armour whatsoever. Team score, we came... why am I listed at the top? I'm not quite sure why I'm listed at the top. Going by damage, we came 4th. Going by XP, we also came 4th. So 4th out of 15, it's not bad going, given this is only my second game since I re-got the tank. So the Churchill is fairly decent, I think, actually. I hated it last time, but I think it's actually a fairly decent tank, and I'll probably do some more games about it now I've got it. I need to train the crew up anyway. It's a heavy tank that's very slow. Do not expect to get anywhere quickly with it, and don't expect to do a lot of damage with your shots, but the shots are quite rapid, so if you miss you get another go, which you'll remember when I did the game. That happened to me a few times. Being able to shoot again rapidly enabled me to make up for the misses. A few of the people got some battle heroes, got some fire from effects. That guy did very well, in fact. And moving on to the detailed report. So I did 759 damage, 12 shots, 6 hits, 6 penetrations, which is 50% accuracy ratio. Not very good. I blocked 230 damage, which isn't bad going. And then I got just over 1,000 damage due to spotting. So that's alright. Made a fairly decent profit out of it. So all in all, that was a fairly decent game. I'm going to carry on playing this tank, and I will post new games as and when they go well. But I thought this was a fairly decent game, just to show the introduction and give you an idea of what the tank is and how it works. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will be making more as time goes on. So feel free to leave a comment, any thoughts, impressions, any ideas, etc, etc. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. That helps me out, it helps me know what people like and what they don't. And if you haven't subscribed, I invite you to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!